Alright, hello. So this is a video I've been thinking about doing for a while. Basically, mostly because it was something I needed myself. And it's seamless micropatterns, or I'm gonna call it that. So I've been dabbling around like pretty far back ago with doing seamless patterns. And what got me started was actually to do stylized game art. So I was dabbling around with making ground, rocks and wood and stuff like that with blend files. So it was actual 3D geometry that I was painting on, that I also could render and make normal maps of. So I did that, took it into Unreal. It kind of looked okay. I think there was some issues, so I have to go back to that. Some issues with the normal maps, but it looked okay actually. And I realized that it was pretty simple in Blender to set up a seamless pattern geometry and render out diffuse, color, and normal map. Normal maps are the most important thing, I think. So this video is just gonna be for the Blender workflow, and the idea behind this is I'm gonna make a GitHub repository for this, and I'm gonna share it with everybody so you can get all the source files and all the textures. So for now it's just 1K. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna make it 2K, but I think it's overkill because, as the title says, this is gonna be seamless micro pattern, so it's gonna be small patterns that I see and want to have in 3D, especially for Eevee that's upcoming. So it could be nice to have normal maps available to do stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be a GitHub repository. You can download it if you just want the source files and texture files and play around with it. But I'm hoping that some of you are gonna download it, play around with it, and think it's really cool, and maybe think of some micro patterns yourself, and then you can actually clone it and hopefully commit it to me, and I can just approve the commits, or you can fork it yourself and have your own branch. But hopefully I can kind of gather all the stuff that we are creating. So it's never going to be charged or anything. It's always going to be open source, and there's always going to be source files for every pattern. So hopefully we could become a small community of Blender artists that kind of find this valuable. We have to see if it's valuable at all, because nowadays you can get PBR textures everywhere. Everybody's giving away and selling or having it free online. So, but most of the time that scope is kind of big. It's kind of like concrete or tile based or wood based. I'm looking at something much smaller that's not always available. So I have some notes here. Just gonna go through really quickly. So my initial idea was to use the color spectrum or RGB, not the spectrum, but the stuff we use in 3D. I wanted to use that for mask. So we have red, green in the middle, and blue. So my idea was, when I do a pattern, I'm gonna see and evaluate if I can use the red, or the green is gonna be where the pattern is intersecting. So I'm just gonna write that. So in Blender you have this node where you can separate RGB channels and use them however you want to. So that was my initial thought, but later on I just found that I kind of also needed black and white images where I don't need to separate the RGB, where I can just start using it from the get-go. So most of the patterns, or I only made 2 so far, but both of them have this RGB and black and white. I call it just black and white in the source file. So these are kind of the masks. Besides that, so we have the pattern in those masks. We really need the one that's most important. I'm just gonna paint it with its correct value of 0.5 on red green channel and 1 on blue. So you might recognize this color, and that's the normal map. Normal map. So that was the basic idea. I want to the patterns with a normal map, a black and white, and a RGB. Later on I might add color and roughness, because that could be essential. In the examples I'm going to show you, I don't have it because I want to add it either by painting it or generating texture, but most of the time I think I'm actually going to paint it, and I'm not going to focus on the micro level of the pattern. I'm going to focus on the macro level of the entire object. So what more? Yeah, so I'm just gonna draw this really shitty honeycomb pattern here. So sometimes I want to distinct if the pattern is actually pushed down, or if it is, I can always make a second version where the pattern is pushed up. So we're gonna have a couple of files. We're gonna have red and blue RGB mask, black and white mask, normal map, and then we're probably gonna have two sets, one where the pattern is down, when the pattern is up. And I soon also realized that most of the pattern has either a line or a geometry that separates the pattern or that makes up the pattern. So the two I made really quickly was this honeycombed hexa polygon or hexa something prismatic pattern, and carbon fiber. So what I realized, I also have to have something that separates how thick or thin the pattern is. So what I decided there is to go with like something that's like common for fonts. So we're gonna have a thin. So this line can represent how thin it is. Make it a bit thicker. That's regular. A bit thicker even. Whoa, yeah. That's bold. And really thick, that's black. So this naming convention or is pretty similar if you ever worked with font files. They also have numbers, like thin is 100, regular is 400 I think, bold is it 700, and black is 8 or 900. But anyways, why I'm talking about this is the convention I'm gonna follow when I make files, and you're gonna see if you download the source files. So if you're gonna contribute, I would really appreciate it if you follow the same convention. So as we hopefully get more people adding stuff to this repository, if everybody follow the same convention, it's not gonna be that super big of hassle to if I see that you made like a cloth or some cloth knitted fabric, and there's a file called thin and a regular and a bold and a black, I'm gonna know that's like the thickness of the cloth itself and stuff like that. So let's check out the files. So this is the I should actually show you the folder. So these are the folders. I have a preview folder where I render some previews of the files I'm going to show you in 2.8 with Eevee. I have a template file folder, which is the one you're going to start when you're gonna make your own pattern. But other than that, there's a two already done. So we have carbon fiber, and you can see the naming convention here: thin, regular, bold, black, and each of them has their own folder, and in the folder is the here's the textures. So they're 1K, that means 1024 by 1024 pixels. So we have the black and white mask, we have the RGB mask, and the normal map. I've been actually using this one in the example, and I see I haven't rendered out the RGB mask yet for it, so I have to do that. And then we have the honeycomb. We can check up. So here's the normal map. Here's our RGB mask and the black and white mask. So I'm gonna open up the template file and just go through it really quickly. Yeah. So there's basically two ways of making a seamless pattern. First of all, I can show you this one, or talk about this one. This is the bake target. So it has the name of bake target up here. It's just a plane that's 1 by 1 meter, which is in wire mode, and it should have X-ray on actually. So I just turned it on. Besides that, I have two pattern sample files, or samples here. No. So this one is one of the basic things to do. You just model something. This is like this is when it goes down, and this is when it goes up, if you were going to render this. So I just model something, and then I used two arrays to make it fit and cover the exact this one, the 1 by 1 meter bake target. So I also have set up a camera. It's hidden, but it's looking straight down with the orthographic view mode. So you're good to go. If you press F12, it's gonna start render. And if you turn on repeat here in the image editor, you can see this is the actual render, and with repeat you can inspect that that it is seamless and working. So I'm gonna leave repeat on. So this way is kind of simple to make seamless pattern, but there's another way that's a bit weirder and better that I've been using. So this is from when I was talking about that. When I discovered this was I was doing game art, and I wanted to make seamless pattern, like let's say a wood floor. So I modeled all the planks and started painting them, and then I think I duplicated with Alt-D the stuff to each of the corner of like 1 by 1 meter. But in this case, you're gonna see if I go into selection mode, if I select something, it's been selected multiple times. So it's actually, this is the green line box here. It's the thing that's going to be rendered. So all the other stuff around it is just a duplicate to make sure it's seamless, both in the like vertical and the horizontal, and like in the corners. So if I select this stone or circle and move it like this, it's going to be cut here, but you're going to see it's going to render this part, and then this little corner and this top part. So together it's going to be seamless, and that is achieved by just having arrays actually. So yeah, and checking this box, so it's the array result is also editable. So it doesn't matter where you click, you can always change it. And this way you can really like model anything you want to be seamless. and then hit render, and it's going to make it seamless. So if I turn on repeat again, you can see that this is the actual rendered image, but when I repeat it, it's repeating seamless. So that's about that. Also, we have to, if you're using Filmic, which is going to be in 2.79, but I'm using Blender via Steam, so I'm in 2.78. You don't really have Filmic unless you have installed it yourself, but, which I have. So I'm gonna turn it off. Just use sRGB. Remove base contrast and don't use any curves. So I'm gonna explain you why I have to do that, because when I had Filmic I noticed that the white and the black were not, especially the black wasn't really pure black and stuff. The same thing is with like if we go back to this, like red, green and blue, it's really important that the red channel is like 1.0 red and 0.0 green and 0.0 blue, so you can really get it out from a mask. So all this these two kind of ways, like this one with just an array, and this one where it says array but it's focusing on the corners of the render, these two are in the template file, so you can work with them. And you're also going to notice that all object has materials, so you have a red, green, blue, so you can assign that to your pattern, and white, gray and black also, so you don't have to do it yourself, they're already in there. Right, so now I could show you how to render this one to the bake target. So first of all, you could either just render and bake, but you can also render and bake to a target. So I'm gonna select this one first, pattern array 0.0.1. I'm probably gonna rename these files and do a commit on GitHub later on, just clean it up a bit, but anyways. So render, select that one, select my bake target, go into render tab and check under bake. So now it's combined, it's gonna like bake everything. We don't really want that, so we just want the normal. You can leave this at default and select to active. Don't check cage, because if you're gonna have a cage, you have to have an object with equal amount of sides and stuff like that. It's overkill in this for what we're doing. So just select to active. And then of course there's I already made a node here that has a texture slot called normal bake. Also worth mentioning that this node has color preset which is 0.5 red, 0.5 green and 1.0 blue. So it has the color of a normal map. So I can do like this. I could clean this normal map by selecting that color and then hit bake. So you see up here it's baking. Right, something might be wrong with this. I have to check that one because it didn't seem to bake this bumpy surface. This normal map is completely empty. Let's try. Did I select them in the wrong order maybe? Tangent space. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, that one worked, so I have to check the other one with array, why it didn't work. Which is weird, I didn't really expect that to happen, but anyway, I have to check it. But so anyway, you just go to bake and make sure you select this blue node and hit bake and then save the results. I'm not gonna do this because this is the template file. Yeah, so we bake the normal. I can show you the example with the down and the up pattern and all these naming convention about thin, regular, bold and black by, whoops, I'm gonna use this Blender instance. So yeah, we can use this honeycomb up regular. So I have opened open it, and here you see the bake target texture slot, and the same thing here. I have my bake target plane, and it's in it should be in X-ray. So on layer 2 I have the black and white pattern, and on layer 3 I have the RGB mask pattern. It's basically the same. So you make the pattern, you just model it, and then make the black and white first, and then see if you have the need to make one that's RGB. So in this case I thought it was worth having RGB, because the green channel is going to be the interconnecting section of the pattern, and then I can have the pattern in blue and red. So if I want, I can get the even and odd lines of the pattern by separating the RGB mask. So I deemed it necessary here. So it's the same thing here. It's actually if I go back to global like this, so it's actually just it's just a mesh data model, pretty simple. And as you can see here, the honeycombs are pushed up, so this got the name of up. And then I made a folder also for the blend file, honeycomb up regular. We can check there. I think I showed you, yeah, I showed this before, so I already rendered them out, but I can show you how to do this pretty quickly. So you start with the bake target, and let's start with the black and white one. Oh, I'm gonna show you something. So in the render passes, I've enabled diffuse color pass. So we quickly check the compositing nodes for this one. So what I'm using actually to render, I discard the image because I don't want any shadow or lighting. I just want the diffuse color. So it's already set up in all the files, so you don't have to check it or change it. You can check it out, but you don't have to change it. So what you do is just hit F12, and it renders the pattern in black and white. So hit F3 to save it. And here's also notice that I have written down here is like don't use 90% compression, just use 15, which is way low, so we get as good as possible renders. I mean, it's gonna weigh some megabytes, but if you want, you can use 90, but it's not that big deal. But I'm gonna use 15 here. So I'm gonna save it in the folder which is honeycomb up regular, and I already made it. But as you can see, the file naming convention is going to be like the pattern and the direction, and then thickness, and which is regular in this case, and then the pattern type. So this is the mask dash black and white. So save that one. I go to layer 1 and 3, hit F12 again to render. So now I'm gonna get the pattern in RGB, and I can check the values here by clicking and holding, and you can see it's perfect blue with 1.0 on the blue channel and 0 on the red and green, and the same for the same for the green one. It's perfectly green, and the red is perfectly red. So I'm gonna save that one with the same naming convention. I'm just gonna lower the compression so we get as good file as possible. So it's gonna be honeycomb up, thickness regular, and this is the pattern type. This is the mask -RGB. So I'm gonna save that one, and then I'm gonna go back and select first layer and the second layer. It doesn't really matter which one you use, because it's not gonna use the color. We're gonna bake the normals now. So I select the pattern, and then I select my baking target, and I select this blue image node, because this is the one that's gonna have the normal map. And then I go to render and bake. Make sure selected to active is checked, and just hit bake. So there we have it. I can turn on repeat to make sure it's repeating, and it's repeating. Hit F3 to save. 15% PNG, perfect. So it's going to be the honeycomb, but up regular thickness, but the normal map. So I'm going to save that one. Okay, I think I'm done. I don't think I have to show you any more of the pattern, but I can show you actually the carbon fiber one. Let's go with bold. No, yeah, we can go with bold. So this is just I started doing this kind of thing, like a woven shape, because that is how fiber carbon fiber is. If you have something that's flexible, it has this woven pattern. Otherwise, I think it's just fibers in a direction, so you can have it just in one direction, but then it's gonna break in the it's gonna be fragile in the perpendicular angle. So that's because it's kind of plastic resin in between the fibers, and so as long as you pull along the fiber, it's like incredible. It has incredible strength, but as soon as you start to pull perpendicular to the fiber, you're gonna actually just pull away the plastic resin and stuff. So I was looking at that, and I made this shape, and then I made this kind of crazy array, which is just that shape and this shape. So you can check out the source file if you wanna. But anyway, then I get this carbon fiber pattern, and as usually, as I explained in the other video, I did all the renders, so I can open them here. So you see the black and white. There's some kind of diagonal artifacts here I have to fix. I might check it out in Blender. I don't really know why they're there. So, but I have the black and white pattern. So in this case, the white is the vertical, the black are the horizontal, and then we have the gray stuff is like the connecting, or actually what you see in between the in between the pattern. So same here with the RGB mask. We have the red is the vertical, the blue are the horizontal, and the green is the connecting part of the pattern. So with these masks you can actually, I'm gonna show you what you can do. And here we have the normal. So let's open up Blender 2.8 Eevee. So this is the carbon fiber material. So it looks actually kind of good. It's the black render because there's no like in between gaps, so the pattern is as thick as possible. So you can see here this sphere has this carbon fiber material on it, and this cloth has also, and it looks really good in Eevee. I can see the normal map doing its thing, and I actually have a bit of different roughness and stuff like that on the fiber direction. So let's talk about that, why you have a need for this kind of pattern. So if you focus on this sphere with the carbon fiber material, you can see I take in which channel texture is this? Yeah, this is the normal one, and then this is probably the It's the RGB one. So if I unplug everything but the normal, you can kind of see the normal effect, but it's not as glossy as this one. It's really dull. That's why I have the RGB. Well, is that correct? Okay, it seemed to have oh yeah, it was actually using the so I'm gonna plug this in. I probably accidentally deleted that one then, because if we check in the carbon fiber black, it's missing the RGB channel. Well, all the other one has it. Okay, I'm gonna fix that really quickly by opening the source file and just render it out so you can see the entire process. So bake target and RGB channel. Select, select all my meshes that make up my pattern, and then my bake target. This one is selected, hit bake. No valid selected object. What? These two. It's impossible to see in the viewport what I'm selecting. Alright, sorry. The RGB ones are here. So those two and then the bake target. That should be it. Come on, bake it. So here we are. Crap, I baked the normal one. I don't really need that one, but I'm gonna save it anyway. So carbon fiber black, normal 15%. Save it. What I needed is this one, the RGB mask. So I'm just gonna select the black and white to get the right name, and then change to RGB. So now it should be here. Boom, there it is. Let's go back to 2.8. Probably just refresh that one. So where were I? Yeah, we have the normals, but you can't really see anything. So what I did is I taken in the RGB texture. I separate the RGB. So if I connect that one, we're gonna see like one line of pattern, and if I connect this other one, we're gonna see the other one. It's kind of hard to see since they're running pretty close to each other. So but the nice thing about this pattern is that you can have with these masks, so I'm actually just generating noise over here on these nodes. I'm gonna get this factor and plug it into the color. So you see, I'm just generating noise and stretching it vertically. I'm doing it over here. You can see one of the scales is really larger than the other one, so it's 30 here. So as you can guess, this is like the vertically stretched noise, and then I have horizontally stretched noise. So what I do with those is I'm getting the RGB mask, I'm getting the red channel, and then I'm mixing the results based on that one. So if you go here, we can see that on the vertical fibers we have the vertical noise, and then on the horizontal we have the horizontal noise. This was just something quickly. I'm actually thinking about painting it instead, but anyway, I wanted to do it. So I can plug that into the roughness. So immediately we get something more cool. You can also use the RGB masks to make different kind of colors. I can show it later. So what did I do here? I separate the blue channel. Yeah, I'm multiplying it a bit and then just adding something, and that's for the specular. So that was a trick I saw in Unreal video. I just wanted to try it out. It's when you have let's say they had a rock texture and they were talking about like that the physical correct value of specularity should be 0.5, but that is uniform, so it's like if I unplug everything else, I can show you what I mean. So yeah, and let's turn down the roughness so we see it. So if you have specularity 0.5, that's like the default standard value. If you have turned it to 0, I don't have any. If I turn it to 1, I have too much. So they were talking in that Unreal video that's instead of just using 0.5 default value, you can separate the RGB channel from your texture and choose just one channel at random. Choose the red one if it's something that has sort of warm color and stuff like that, and plug that into the specularity. Then you're gonna start getting variations. So you can probably see the carbon fiber pattern here. So you see it really dim, but that's just something to add a little bit of different variation in the specularity. I'm guessing it's pretty high since it's turning it almost all up. So let's multiply with 0. Oh, sorry. Then let's add 0, and I can turn up this value. So now you start to see it more prominent that we only get specularity in some places. So I'm gonna multiply it with some really low value, so the difference is not that super big, and then I'm gonna add probably another really low value, like so. Whoops. Plug in the roughness and the normal. So anyway, in this case it's the normal map that does everything. But now we could do a lot of more things. You could like group stuff like this and just add in more random generating textures, or paint your own texture if you want to. So you can paint actually roughness on top of this and stuff. But I think it would be nice to have this kind of library of micro patterns that you kind of want to use all the time. This could be used for like cables and cloth-like surfaces on robots and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you another one I did, which is the honeycomb. So let's take a closer look at that one. And as you can see, it's actually a bit more transparent here where the pattern meets. So I think I just took the green channel and used that one for transparency, and made it a bit more transparent than the other stuff, the honeycombs. So this is like kind of 2-minute version of Halo Visor. So let's check out. It's the same thing. I have this is probably in the normal. Yeah, plugged in here to the normal. You can change the strength, but there's a bug, so you have to change to object and back to tangent to see the normal strength actually reflected here in the viewport. So which texture is this one? It should be the RGB mask. No, it's the black and white mask. Okay. So I was kind of, yeah, as I said, I did it in like 2 minutes, so I probably just used the black and white. This mask for the transparency. But as I said, you can probably, or not probably, you should be able to take in the RGB version, and then you have like The blue ones are one road and the red ones are another road, and you can use different colors and stuff like that. And you can always like this is unwrapped, but you could always like assign another texture. So if I make this one to a image editor, make a UV grid, come on, yeah, let's call it just color. Bring in the color channel and let's have a look how it looks. Oh, not right, that's nice. So let's say we want to mess with something, probably the roughness. So I'm using the roughness from the black and white mask, then multiplying and adding a small number, and we could actually probably color mix or even use a math node, I think. So we can take those two and multiply them and use that for roughness instead. So we're gonna have a weird variation. I think it's really hard to see actually unless right, maybe add is better. Alright, now we can start to see this texture turning up here in the reflection. You can see it here. I'm just gonna try and paint something. Oh crap, we only have the super basic. But you can see, if I paint here, you can see in the 3D model it's reflecting it. So you can use the micro patterns to make the basic roughness and stuff like that, and of course the normal map, and then you can paint in your extra roughness or transparency, whatever you want. I'm probably gonna take have a much darker color so we can see the effect. So yeah, do as you want. Check out the repository. I'm gonna see if it's yeah, it seems to be uploaded. So it's on my GitHub, github.com. Search for Martin Lindeloof. So I have the same profile picture on Twitter and stuff. I have a couple of like C++ and hacks libraries, but this is the one you want, seamless micro patterns. So here you have the source files and the masks files or the textures. So you can just go clone or download. It depends. Download if you don't want to contribute, and or just check it out. And if you're used to GitHub and think that you're going to contribute, do clone it, because then you're going to get whenever I push updates, you're going to get them. You probably know all that if you're using GitHub. So yeah, that's it. Hope you like it, and hopefully someone of you will contribute, and I'm gonna start to see another patterns. I could easily think about a couple of other ones like cloth, and I had something else on mind, but maybe I already did it when I did a carbon fiber. But it would be nice to have a library of these small patterns that you can use in your artwork. Free, and yeah, kind of build it together. Sooner or later we're gonna have at least 100 would be amazing. I don't even know if I can figure out 100 micro patterns, but anyways, it would be amazing to have. And especially now when 2.8 and Eevee is just around the corner, it would be nice to have a couple of patterns done with the normal maps and stuff like that. And the technique, you can always use it if you're also gonna make like game assets and want to make seamless patterns. Just check my blend files and play around with them if you didn't catch the introduction there. So that's gonna give you some kind of hints how you can model stuff that's seamless and then paint it and then bake out all the textures you need, like the diffuse color and AO and normal, of course. So yeah, that's for me. And yeah, just a tiny thing before we go. It's that I saw on Twitter Clement Foucault tweeted a teaser image here, so gonna probably see you in a couple of days with a new Eevee video. When I get the email from Clement about screen space reflection, I'm gonna, as soon as possibly make a video and probably send it to him and let he check it before I upload it to YouTube. So, but hopefully in a couple of days. This is gonna be in 2.8 Eevee, and I'm gonna make a video about it. But yeah, until then, bye.